Hey, hey.
What up?
What is up, my friends?
I don't know if I'll ever get sick of it. How you doing?
Great.
I'm just over here dancing, partying.
I'm just here surviving.
Sweating my tits off. Welcome, everybody, to another week of Case Files with Kat.
And to Ashley.
And we are hot, y'all.
Do you know, is it the feel like temperature today? Like 10 a.m. was 113 degrees. And I know that's not, like some people argue that's not the real temperature, but I don't give a fuck.
It feels like it. Heat index, people. Heat index. I am a believer that the heat index is a pain in the ass in Texas this year. Oh my God. I think it's hotter earlier.
Yeah, well, and they already had record-breaking heat in Austin.
Oh my God.
And it's like not even really July yet. End of June. It's not even the end of June. I think it was like mid-June when they had the record-breaking heat.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's hot. I mean, someone was saying like 4th of July, it's usually really hot. Not in June. Like, it's like July is
It's
really
like the build-up.
It's the build-up. Yes, it's the build-up. Dude,
anyways,
it's
don't
really,
ever move
really
to Texas if you don't live here. It's too hot and gross.
It's so, it's just, yeah. And then like mosquitoes love me. And so I went out and Anderson wanted to play in the sprinkler last night. And so where he's off playing in the sprinkler, I'm just getting eaten alive by these large mosquitoes.
No thanks.
I was like, oh, and I'm allergic. So just like welts all
This is
over
a horrible
my body.
place to live if you're allergic to mosquitoes. They have a goddamn mosquito festival here, Kat. I don't know if you knew that.
I did.
But this is a horrible place to live if you're allergic to mosquitoes.
It didn't help that I lived like everywhere else where like they don't have mosquitoes. Yeah. They don't have them like here anyway.
To be fair, we also have a cockroach festival in Santa Fe, which is bizarre.
Because the cockroaches here fly. They have names.
Yeah, but why do we have a festival for them? Don't move to Texas, people. Do not move here. It's not what they make it seem like. They honor mosquitoes and cockroaches. I think that's enough. Enough that needs to be said. Anyways, that's not the point of this show.
We sound fucking backwards.
That's not the point of this podcast. I'm very sorry. I'm just very passionate about.
Don't move here.
Help. Send help. Get me out of here.
You can
Send
support
a helicopter.
us. You can support us moving from Texas by contributing to our Patreon. Just kidding.
That we don't have.
Oh my God.
Anyways.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, guys.
How are
It's
you
hot.
doing?
This is what happens. I'm not even drinking. I'm great. I'm fantastic. What are you drinking?
Oh, I'm drinking a mango truly. You know.
Oh, it's been a week.
It has been
All right.
a week.
Okay. Well, I guess I could talk about why we're really here.
Did I sent it to you? It was just I saw it on someone else's Facebook. It says, one great thing about Texas heat, you can guarantee no one is waiting in your back seat to kill you.
Oh, that's for sure.
I mean, silver linings. Silver linings.
For sure.
All right. So what do you got for us?
Well, I had talked about redoing this one before. I'm discussing a case that we talked about in season 1 because it's just always blown my mind. It's really weird. And since the original episode, which of course we've already discussed, season 1 is no longer up. There's been more information, more theories. The case is still unsolved. So I wanted to talk about it. The first time the episode was super rushed. It's not a very long episode, but the first time it was just kind of cut short.
I mean, we only had really like 40 minutes to tell a story. Yeah.
So I'm sure most people that watch true crime shows have probably heard of the disappearance of Brian Shaffer. It is one of the most popular ones, but it's still the one that just absolutely just blows my mind. Because like, what happened to him? Where did he go?
I remember this story.
So for those who haven't heard, again, this is just an insane situation. And maybe if you have heard about it, you'll learn something new. Who knows? It's a roll of the dice here. I don't even know. Brian Shaffer was born, excuse me. Let me restart.
Take 2.
This is our first day, guys. Brian Shaffer was born February 25th, 1979 in Pinkerton, Ohio, to Randy and Renee Shaffer. He does have a younger brother named Derek, who, side note, is the only living family member currently. Brian was often described as free-spirited, intelligent, outgoing. He was kind of a jokester. He was a big fan of Pearl Jam, which comes into play later. He was super close to his mom. She was a nurse. And so Renee is actually what inspired him in life. Like he wanted to be, he wanted to be in the medical field. So because of her, he enrolled into college, and at the time of his disappearance, he was a student at American Medical. Oh my God, I cannot speak. Jesus.
Whoop.
He was a medical student at the Ohio State University College of Medicine. Brian was dating a fellow medical student named Alexis, and they had been dating for months. Their friends, their family, all believed that this was becoming very serious, and everyone anticipated that Brian was going to propose to her soon. That was just, everyone thought that. They were super in love.
They looked happy, seemed happy.
Very happy. Like nothing in the relationship up to that point seemed out of the ordinary. So in 2005, the Shaffer family was dealt with a difficult blow when Renee was diagnosed with MDS, which is a rare type of blood cancer that interferes with the body's ability to form healthy blood cells. It's also commonly referred to as bone marrow failure disorder. And so her diagnosis hit everyone in the family super hard. But Brian took it the hardest because he was so close to his mom. And so Renee's final gift to her son would be a trip for two to Miami, Florida for the upcoming spring break. Of course, he had planned to take Alexis. But on March 6th, 2006, Renee passed away. And so Brian just took that very hard. You know, losing his mom, the one that influenced him to go to school, the one that he was super close with, it just really hurt him. And so in the days and weeks following his mother's passing, Brian really struggled to come to terms with this. One day, he asked his girlfriend Alexis to run away with him. She later said it was unclear if he was joking or if he was being serious. The matter was soon dropped, but a week later, he had told her that she should move on and find someone else because he was in a dark place emotionally. So he was trying to get her to break up with him and to go find someone else because he just didn't feel like he was in a place where he could give her what she needed, that he couldn't love her. Like, he was just in this really dark place. However, she refused to leave him, and the relationship continued. She would not accept that he was in a dark place. She wasn't going to leave him, basically. Like, she wanted to be by his side and, like, help him through, you know, the loss. Like, she understood he was grieving. So eventually they decided that they were still going to go to Miami together, but they were going to go in early April. So Brian was, you know, he was in school still, like I said. And as time went on, he was relieved when finals were over and spring break was about to begin. And so at the beginning of spring break, he went out with his father, Randy. They were going to celebrate. According to Randy, Brian seemed like really exhausted from, you know, at the dinner, but he just kind of wrote it off as like he was probably pulling multiple all-nighters because he was studying for his exams so hard. And so he just kind of wrote it off, right? He didn't say like anything was suspicious about that. You know, he said nothing else seemed out of the ordinary. He wasn't acting strange. It was just he was tired. He seemed really, really tired. Supposedly, allegedly, there were tensions.
What year was this again?
2006.
Okay.
So allegedly, there was tension between Randy and Derek and Brian over the share of Renee's life insurance policy. That the life insurance policy, because Brian and Derek were set to receive it, and Randy was under the impression that they were receiving more money than they should. So he did not think that they should be getting as much money because, according to Renee, had supported Brian while he was attending college. Like, paid for schooling, paid for like what most parents would do, right? Like help their child out. And it was rumored that Randy had intended to cut Brian off financially, though that claim was never confirmed. Like no one else could confirm that, but it came out during the investigation that there was this little tiff about the life insurance policy, how much money the sons were receiving, and Randy thinking they were getting more than they were supposed to, and that he did not approve of how much Renee was supporting Brian while he was in school. So after having this dinner with his father, Brian decided he was going to go out with his friend William Clint Florence. The two went to a bar, and in the early evening, Clint phoned his friend Meredith Reed to join them. She picked them up, and the three went bar hopping together, and they eventually ended up at a bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloona in Columbus, Ohio. I just always loved saying that name. The Ugly Tuna Saloona. So Brian called Alexis, who at the time was in Toledo visiting her family. He called around 10 p.m. to tell her that he loved her and to confirm their travel plans for Monday, which the travel plans were to go to Miami, Florida.
Okay.
So Brian and Clint reportedly had an argument that night, but the cause is unclear. But the end result of that argument was Brian walked away from Clint and Meredith. Okay, so he separated from the two people he was bar hopping with. No one will tell the police what the argument was about, and I'll talk more about that later. But yeah, so
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, they had an argument. No one knows what the argument was about, but Brian walked away. So around 2 a.m., Clint and Meredith realized that they hadn't seen Brian in a while and started to search for him. The bar was closing. Everyone was going to be leaving. They looked all over the two-story bar, including inside the restrooms, but couldn't find him anywhere. They also tried calling him, but received no answer. So assuming that he had simply just chosen to walk home, which was to his apartment, that was 6 blocks away, they left without him. And so the following morning, Meredith took Clint to pick up his car from the parking lot of Brian's apartment building, but neither of them decided to check on Brian while they were there, even though they still hadn't heard from him. To me, that's a little sus.
That is sus.
Like, you go out with a friend, you get into an argument, you guys are drunk, you don't see him, you can't find him, you go to his apartment the next day to get your car. Why not just, like, shoot a message or
like, hey,
check?
Man, sorry.
Like, if you hadn't heard... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Even if I was mad at someone, I'd want to know that they got home safe. I don't know. That's just me.
We're good friends.
What?
We're good friends.
Well, yeah. You know what I'm saying? But, like, they got into a fight. But still, you would want to check and make sure. I don't know. Wow. So they received no answer. They didn't check on him. They just literally got the car and left. Neither Randy nor Alexis could reach him that entire weekend either. And when he did not show up at the airport on Monday to meet Alexis, they knew something was seriously wrong and immediately reported him missing. So the Ugly Tuna Saloona, hospitals, homeless shelters, dumpsters, and trash cans were all searched in an effort to locate Brian, or at least find some clue of what happened to him. But they literally found nothing. There was no evidence of him in the bar, like being left in the bar. You know what I mean? Like there was there wasn't anything in the alleyways. It didn't look like any kind of fight happened.
Did he pay for his drinks?
I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay.
So since Columbus has more security cameras than any other city in Ohio, more than Cleveland, Toledo, and Cincinnati combined, the police had hoped that video footage might shed light on the events to his disappearance. Like, surely we can see on the cameras who he was with, what he was doing, which direction he went into. But no. The last known footage of Brian shows him outside of the Ugly Tuna Saloona just before 2 a.m. on the morning of April 1st, 2006, talking to 2 women before heading back inside. So the way that the bar worked was it was in a building with like other businesses, and it was 2-story, and there was an escalator.
That's right.
And the footage shows Brian on the escalator going up with the 2 women. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it doesn't show what happened. Like, there was some footage of him in the bar talking to the band that was playing at one point. And there was footage of him with these women.
See him with the women.
Yeah. But other than that, there was no footage
of him leaving.
They didn't actually see him re-enter They just saw him walking towards the entrance after he talked to those two women.
Oh.
So, excuse me. So, that was the last known footage of him was with those women. So Meredith and William tried. Some referred to William as William, and some referred to him as Clint because he went by Clint. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of using those interchangeably, but it's the same person.
Clint
and William are the same person.
Okay.
So Meredith and William tried to phone Brian on multiple occasions, but he did not pick up, and the calls would go straight to voicemail. The pair left to go home after the bar. So this is talking about the day that they were actually at the bar, where they had tried to call him and they couldn't get a hold of him, and they decided to go home thinking he would contact them the next day. So anyways, after he was reported missing, Randy, which is the father, had tried to call him multiple times, could not get a hold of him, was extremely worried. So like I said, Alexis and him reported him on Monday morning when he didn't show up at the airport. He was reported missing that day, and over 50 police officers were dispatched to search for Brian. So the building was searched on Monday, the day he was reported missing, by cadaver dogs who found no indication of Brian anywhere within the building, including the parts of the building which are described as under construction or around it. Because one of the theories was, well, maybe someone killed him and put him where the construction was happening, right? Because then it wouldn't be seen leaving the bar. But the cadaver dogs did not even pick up his scent anywhere.
Oh, wow. But he was in the bar.
But they did not pick up his scent. They did not. They said there was no indication of Brian anywhere in the building.
They need to hire a new cadaver dog.
Well,
It's too late now.
Yeah.
But, he was there.
well,
They didn't even pick him up on the escalator where he's like leaning back on the escalator, like really nothing.
I don't know if they were checking that because they confirmed he was there, right?
Still.
They were trying to figure out where he went. But they said that they searched the inside of the building and the parts of the building that were being under construction and around it. And there was no scent of him. They didn't pick up any trace of him. So friends and family of Brian were questioned and passed lie detectors except for William/Clint. He refused to comply. His excuse was, and I don't remember
sus about that.
I don't remember if I talk about this later, but his reasoning for not taking it is because he said he already told the police everything he had to say, and he just didn't see what the point of was taking another lie detector test or whatever, because he had already been interviewed and told and reported everything he knew. So he says.
Okay.
The two women that were seen talking to Brian, like the last known women, were not even required to take the lie detector test. So basically they only gave the lie detector test to his father and his girlfriend. Right? Because William wouldn't take it, and the two women on the escalator were not asked to take it.
Can't you get a subpoena? Damn. People just telling cops no.
So, well, they didn't have any evidence that he did anything, so they couldn't really subpoena him. No body, no crime.
I guess.
So police could account for every other person that entered that building from the CCTV as they left the building, apart from Brian. So literally everyone else that was at the bar could be seen, and everyone that entered the bar was documented leaving the bar except for Brian, which means nobody took Brian with them out of the bar because everyone was accounted for, right? Because one of the theories was that someone killed him, snuck him out of the bar, but they literally accounted for everyone that left the bar. And obviously no one was carrying a body. You know what I'm saying?
Even the two girls.
So
but we don't know he went back in.
They say that he was walking back in the direction of the entrance, and they don't know where else he would have gone if it wasn't into the building. It's just the CCTV didn't actually show him walking in. So they say because they said that the fact that they didn't see him leave the building means that Brian must have exited the building through an emergency door or a service door. There are 4 more doors on the east side of the building. And there's this documentary on the ID channel there's a ton of documentaries, but they state that every exit was covered by CCTV apart from one, which exited out to the construction site conveniently. Why wouldn't you have cameras on the construction site where you have like materials and stuff that could be stolen.
I agree. And why are there no cameras on any other door?
No. There was cameras on every door except for that one that led to the construction area.
That's weird.
And so, but as they said, the police used cadaver dogs and did not get any trace of him at the construction site. Police surmise that this must have been the door that Brian used to leave the bar. However, the police do not know why he would have chosen this door to exit the bar. It didn't make sense for him to go out this door. There were no other CCTV cameras in the area that caught sight of Brian, as in they pulled cameras, footage from other businesses, other buildings, street cameras. Nothing else has Brian. So if he left out the back door, what, did he just poof? You know what I mean? Like, he had to have walked somewhere if he left out the back door, but there's no footage of him on any other CCTV cameras in the entire area. So Brian was 6 feet 2 inches and weighed 170 pounds. He was not a small person. So like
he was fit.
If someone killed him, it would be evident that they were carrying him. You know what I mean? Like it would have been a feat to overpower him, first of all, kill him, and do something with him without other people seeing him.
Yes.
Especially what I find weird is that the cameras didn't catch anyone else either. So like the cameras didn't catch if he was murdered. They didn't see anything. So I don't know. So on one occasion, months later in September, his phone rang 3 times, leaving Alexis hopeful he might still be alive. So like she had his phone, hoping that someone would call it or he would call it, like they left the service on, right? His phone rang 3 times. His phone was not GPS enabled, but the location did ping off a tower near, like it did ping off a tower. However, his phone provider claimed that it could have rang by accident. How the fuck does a phone ring by accident?
Has your phone ever rang by accident?
No.
The answer is no.
How I don't even understand the logistics of that. And they didn't explain it in anything I looked up. Like,
I'm Googling that shit.
Yeah. Like, I just don't understand. Like, someone accidentally called the phone number. Like, I don't get it. Like, they didn't say someone accidentally called it. They just said it may have accidentally have rang, which doesn't make sense to me. Maybe they meant that someone accidentally called it, but nothing came of it.
There's pocket dialing. There's like butt dialing. There's accidentally.
But she had his phone. Someone called his phone.
And it was from what number?
It didn't say. It just said in September his phone rang 3 times.
Because maybe somebody was like, "Oh, I didn't mean to hit that number and hang up." That is accidental. But I don't know. Okay.
Nothing came of it. Nothing at all. No leads, no anything. There was no investigation really into it because the provider was like, it rang by accident.
Sure.
At a Pearl Jam concert that year in Cincinnati, lead singer Eddie Vedder took the time between songs to ask for tips in his disappearance.
Wow.
Because they knew how much of a Pearl Jam fan he was. And they had heard about this case, and they were trying to get their fans to be aware of the situation and to report any tips. The Columbus Police Department, they were left stumped. They had dozens of CCTV footage of Brian, in the bar during the time he was there, right? Like I said, talking to the band. At one point, they see him talking to William and Meredith. They see him walking around inside, but they didn't see like any altercations happen. No one was following him. He was just a college student at the bar hanging out, talking to people. There was literally nothing suspicious that they've released anyways of anything that he was doing. He was just hanging out, drinking.
And he wasn't particularly hammered? Like, he wasn't drinking
they didn't
so
say
much?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, but either way, like, he wasn't falling down drunk at the bar. He wasn't getting into fights. Like, just talking to people at the bar and the band and those two women. And so Brian's phone, credit cards, and bank accounts were inactive for more than a year, which made his family start to believe he was never coming back. So, like, from the time of his disappearance to even now, none of his accounts were ever used again. His credit card wasn't used, his bank account, so he didn't pay at the bar. So unless someone else paid, he didn't pay. His credit cards, bank accounts, and phone were inactive for more than a year. Only his younger brother, Derek, remains alive, and he still is searching for Brian and hasn't given up. So there was a possible breakthrough in 2020 when a picture that looked like Brian went viral on social media. It appeared to show an American man in Mexico, and people really thought it was Brian, and they sent it in to the FBI. And the FBI did an extensive facial analysis, and it turned out to just be a homeless man. So that went nowhere.
Did they go and find that homeless man?
Do you really think that?
No.
They determined it wasn't Brian. They said they used extensive facial analysis to determine it wasn't. I'm pretty sure they went and fact checked, but it was not Brian. It didn't lead to
the man that was like asleep on the street?
I don't know if he was asleep on the street.
He just looked like he was, anyway, passed out.
I don't know if he was, but they verified that it was not Brian. So after that, the FBI mocked up a picture of Brian to show what he would look like now. Like, they did an age progression photo of him, but there were no reported sightings at that time. Since then, there have been reported sightings in Texas and a few other states, but those all have gone nowhere. Police literally have nothing. There have been no reports. There have been no witnesses to come forward. There have been no signs of Brian. There has been no evidence of a crime happening. Central Ohio Crime Stoppers has a $100,000 reward for information. But there are many theories to Brian. A lot of people thought that he was just living somewhere else under a new identity. But again, of course, that's never been proven. So one theory was that Brian was drunk, came out of the emergency exits, and accidentally fell on the construction site. Police say that they checked the area, but conspiracy theorists say the investigators would have covered up his death, not wanting any bad press. Which I don't understand why the police or investigators would care. Wouldn't that be the bar that would be worried about bad press? Or wouldn't it be the bar that covered it up? Which may have happened, but the theory was the investigators covered up. Search dogs were used, like I mentioned, but they came up with nothing. So if he did fall into the construction site and die, somehow they got rid of all of his scent very quickly.
Which I just don't see how that's possible.
Yeah. And none of the surrounding CCTV footage. Like, they would have had to go to another business and ask for their footage. You know what I mean?
So
like, it's one thing to get rid of their own. No.
You don't have a theory? Like
well, let me read these other theories.
Spontaneous combustion or something? I don't know.
I'll read these other theories. Okay. So due to his emotional state, some people think that Brian may have committed suicide and that his body is in the car park that was being constructed when he disappeared. Friends say that at the time of his disappearance, he was in good spirits, but that doesn't mean much, as many people, as you know, when they're suicidal, they at the end are very happy, and they don't really show any signs of it. They hide their emotions very well, and they say he was really good at hiding his emotions. So again, that was another thing where they think he was buried under some construction, but again, that's been checked out. They've had cadaver dogs, they've had searches. There's been nothing to turn up under the construction, in the construction, surrounding the construction. So another theory is that Brian ran away to start a new life. He was training to become a doctor, and despite wanting to follow in his mother's footsteps, people have said that he was only pursuing a career in medicine to please his parents, and he really wanted to be a musician. Again, never been spotted.
Okay, so where is he now?
Yeah.
If that's the case.
So here's another interesting theory. Some people thought he may have been a victim of the smiley face killers, a story that I know you have been particularly interested in. And the reason they thought he might be part of the smiley face killers is because Randy had hired a psychic. And the psychic he consulted told him that Brian's body was in water near a bridge pier. So he and Derek, again, that was Brian's younger brother, along with other citizens who had been interested in the case, bought waders and spent much of their free time along the shores. I don't even know how to pronounce this. Olentangy River? I don't know. I'm not even going to try to say that I know how to pronounce this, but a river which flows through Columbus adjacent to the OSU campus. And I'm sorry if you live there and I butchered that because I know I did. But anyways, the point is this river flows through Columbus adjacent to the campus and searched in vain for the body near the bridges. This possibility also led police to briefly consider this heavily disputed smiley face murder theory. Brian, under this theory, would be the serial killer's only victim whose body was not yet found. So Columbus police eventually rejected any connection to the smiley face killer/killers in Brian's case, just because every other one of their victims had been found. So why would they not get rid of his body? Why would it be under a bridge? Plus, they didn't really believe a psychic. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, oh, a psychic told you this. Like, they didn't hold a lot of faith in it to begin with.
Right.
But the FBI did look into it. Other law enforcement agencies looked into it, but they all just let it go. They didn't go anywhere with that. So, 2 years after Brian disappeared in 2008, Brian's father died at his home when a branch broke from a tree and crushed him to death. On his obituary online, somebody commented, "Dad, I love you. Love, Brian." The location of that post came from the U.S. Virgin Islands. However, when the police traced the message, they found it coming from a public computer in Franklin, Ohio, and eventually declared it was simply a hoax.
Blah, blah, blah.
How fucked up is that?
That's pretty fucked up.
Brian's been disappearing, like, gone all this time, and then his father dies, and you leave this on his father's. It just, what is wrong with people?
Because then the one remaining kid is there to find it.
But like, what is wrong with people? I don't understand. So, Alexis did get married in 2009, and she has her own family, but she still publicly speaks about Brian. She really hopes that he's found. Like, she hasn't given up hope on him. Like, she really did love him, and she does want him to come back. So she does talk about his case, talk about him as a person. She does try to keep his case alive, like the awareness about it. The Ugly Tuna Saloona did close in 2018, so if there's any evidence there now, it's going to be hard to find it all of this time later because it is a different business now, and they kind of just stopped investigating at the time because they say they didn't find anything. Again, in 2019, that's when that sighting was of the man in Mexico, but it wasn't him. And then last year, in 2021, that's when they released the age-progressed photo of Brian, because at that time he would have been 42, but again, it led nowhere. So there's no leads at all whatsoever. No one has any new theories other than he never left the bar. But how did he never leave the bar? It just,
there's no video showing him going back down the escalator.
There's no video showing him leaving the front door, which is the only public exit or an entrance to the bar, is that front door. And everyone else from the bar left out of that front entrance. They have confirmed that multiple times, that everyone that went into the bar was accounted coming out of the bar, except for Brian. All of the other doors were service doors. All of them had cameras except for that construction one. And they say, like, that was the one door he chose to leave out of. But how would he have known that was the one door that didn't have cameras? Like, that would be a really big coincidence to just randomly choose. And then they said, why would he go out a back entrance? Why wouldn't he just go back out the front entrance? And then, there is a lot of suspicion about William because they did get into that fight. They didn't check on him. He wouldn't do the lie detector test, and he wouldn't tell them what the fight was about. So that's kind of suspicious to me. Like, why wouldn't you even tell them what the fight was about? I don't know whatever happened with Meredith. They never said anything else about her other than she was there and she tried to contact him, obviously, with William and couldn't. But there's really no evidence of what William and Meredith did after they left the bar at 2 a.m. other than they went back the next day to get his car. So there's not really a timeline of like what the hell they were doing. The case is still opened. If there is any information on Brian, if you should happen to know if you were at the Ugly Tuna Saloona back in 2006 and you would like to come forward now, the Columbus Police Department still has a case open and the FBI does too. But there's really no evidence of anything, where he went, what his friends were doing. Some articles said he had a roommate, but I don't know if that was William or if it was someone else. There's no other talk about the roommate. So it's a really weird case all the way around. Everything surrounding it is super weird.
What's his brother doing now?
His brother, I don't know what he does for a living, but he does actively search for Brian. He was really young when this happened, but he still to this day searches for Brian, tries to keep the story alive. Same as Alexis, tries to keep the story alive, tries to help and figure out and solve the case. So it's a very sad situation to not have some kind of closure, but it's insane to me, like to just
disappear.
To not be seen on the camera leaving, I don't know.
Or entering. Yeah. That's weird. They see him go close to it.
Yeah.
They can see everybody come out, so how come they can't see people going in?
I don't know. I don't know if there was something at that specific time that they just didn't catch him. You know what I mean? Like something in the way, or there's too many people sitting out front, because it was inside a building. So there was like a lot of people. But as far as exiting, there is a definite no Brian exiting. Everyone else exited. They did verify that multiple times in this case.
From the front door, is there a different way to exit other than the escalator?
According to what I read, no. That would be the only way out is through that front door, unless you took the emergency door, which is what they say Brian took.
And the front door would make you go down the escalator.
Yes, because it was a 2-story building. No, inside, like with other office buildings, which is how they had the other CCTV footage is from the other buildings, but nothing with Brian and nobody with a body or anything that resembled a body. Like there was one theory where someone killed him, put him in like a bag, like a wait staff or something, put him in like a bag, but like was carrying him out in like a trash bag or like a gym bag or whatever. But there was no one was seen carrying a bag out, like even trash. So they were trying to think of other ways of how to get a body out.
Even if it wasn't a trash bag, it wouldn't be like it wouldn't be like you're carrying trash. It's 170 pound.
Yeah, exactly. But they were just saying that they did look into other.
Yeah.
How would they have gotten him out of the building without being on the cameras? Like, what could they have possibly have done?
I wonder if you could have hidden like in the like rafters up in the, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like a Mission Impossible movie.
You would think they would have found his body by now. Like even if he somehow got up there and died, but.
Or that he waited until.
They searched that construction site extensively.
Yeah.
They interviewed the staff there. Nothing.
Is the building still there?
The building is there as far as I know. It's just a different owner.
Go in the rafters. Never know. He could have lived there for a little while. They find some like bean cans all up in there.
The bar that replaced it
is another bar.
Is literally called Ugly Tuna Saloona 2.
Oh, God. That name, it's stuck.
It has lively hangout with fish shanty decor.
So if you're there, go to the Ugly Tuna Saloona and go up and see if you can, in the bathroom, if you can climb up on the stall and get into the rafters. I don't know. I'm like, if he didn't just disappear into
I think the two bars are in different areas. I don't know why they associate that, but anyways,
weird.
Yeah. They found no evidence. There's to this day no evidence of.
And who do you call if you have
The
information?
Columbus, Ohio Police Department or the FBI. You just tell them his name. The case is still open. So, and there's $100,000 reward if
Oh my gosh! Wow.
you provide it. That might be higher now, but it was $100,000 the last thing that I saw. So,
Wow. That might have been the money from mom.
other people have described, just as a side note, that the Ugly Tuna Saloon gave them very creepy vibes. And
Ooh.
like the reviews, even today, aren't great. It was a college bar. So I just thought I would throw that in there.
Ooh.
But yeah, he somehow disappeared inside of the Ugly Tuna Saloon. Never been seen.
I know. Maybe
Just
don't
vanished.
No, don't go there, guys. Don't.
I
go
feel like
there.
even if you asked about spontaneous combustion, but like you would think there'd be something left
I mean,
of him
there would
somewhere.
be something left.
Maybe aliens chose Brian. Maybe he was the chosen one and just took him.
He just raptured up into the. But somebody would have seen the light, you know. Somebody would have
Maybe
seen
it was like a Men in Black situation where they erased everyone's memories. I don't know. But
It's possible.
no witnesses, no evidence, no body,
No crime,
no suspects, no motive.
but
So-
a sad man.
And now everyone in his family's dead but his brother. So
Oh. Sorry, dude.
can you imagine being Derek though? Your mom dies from a rare disease. Your brother disappears without a trace, and then your dad dies from a tree branch falling on
freak
him.
accident.
Like, I don't mean to laugh, but Jesus, how much bad luck can you have? And if you know what I mean, like that is awful. Because they said that disease was really rare, and then Brian disappears like less than a month afterwards, and then the dad dies from a tree branch.
I
So
wonder if he leaves the house.
I don't know. I think he does. I mean, he's very active about trying to find Brian. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that's my story. I just wanted to redo it because I thought it was a really good case and I really liked it, and it's just really crazy to me. And so, anyways, that is. I hope he is eventually found so that Derek and Alexis can get closure.
Closure.
Yeah.
For sure. So we are taking off the following 2 weeks. So we'll see you after the 4th of July week. That next week. But in the meantime, if you have story ideas, if you have question of the week ideas, I don't even know if we're still doing that.
We do sometimes.
We do sometimes. If there's any guest ideas, anything you want to talk, if you want to just say hi, drop us a line, say hello to your girls, you know, let us know. Let us know you're out there and listening.
Yes.
But until, I guess, 3 weeks from now, have a great, don't burn to death here in Texas. Don't melt.
Don't vanish.
Don't vanish in some weird bar named the
Ugly Tuna Saloon 2 now.
Oh God! Don't go there. Don't go there. That was a bad idea. Don't go there. But until next time, folks, we're gonna take a little break. But have a great summer, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye.